Welcome to Lost Without Japan, a travel podcast about the life-changing experiences of exploring Japan and those moments we would be lost without. For your listening pleasure, allow me to introduce your very own Kanko Gaido, Michael.
Okay, here we are. Sam and I are coming back from a concert in Nashville, Tennessee, heading back towards Chicago, and I was going to do an opening that was just myself introducing everything that's about to follow, all of our different talks and things like that from when we were in Japan, from Osaka and Universal through everything else, but figured why not record with audio from a phone and include Sam in the trend. Yeah, pretty much everything you're about to follow. So set the tone right. I want to let you know that I think you're in for a treat. Like I said, those of you that didn't realize from the food postings that I did toward the end of the trip, we made it to Japan finally. Had a wonderful time, and this is, I don't know, a number of weeks later now.
Yeah, it's been a month since we got back, but it's going to be cool listening to all this at the end and hearing everything back. It'll mean a lot.
It does, and those of you that have been listening, our interview with Japan 2.0 was out 2 weeks prior to this, so if you haven't listened to that or gone over to them, go ahead and check them out as well. I want to let you know that we are pretty profanity-free up until the end of this talk. So I'll try to have some sort of minute mark in the show notes for that if you have families listening along. It's nothing that's overtly horrible, but it is there, so if that matters to you. But otherwise, Sam and I have been talking already, just wanting to get back, and my plan to return next summer. And why don't you fill everybody in and kind of what your thoughts are, what you're looking to do yourself?
Yeah, I obviously want to get back as soon as possible. I've looked at a few things, and something that stood out to me was doing Japanese language school. Not super expensive for 3 months, and I'm just there fully immersed. So any way I can get back, I'll take it. So that's what I'm going to look to do.
What did you end up finding for the language studies stuff? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, being that we're in a car. But do you remember any of the info about it or pricing, things like that?
Yeah, I think the pricing was around like $1,600 for the 3 months. I don't know if that includes food or not, but I'm assuming it does. So it's nothing horrible. Definitely achievable with my pay the way it is. But yeah, the only thing that would be a difficulty would be if food is not included, because that's a good chunk. But yeah, I'm gonna try and convince my friend to get there and try to do that. But yeah, that'll be a cool experience if I can get to do it.
And was it different locations that were set, like that you got to choose from, or was it just kind of all over?
It's pretty all over. There's a few sites. The site that I was looking at that popped up first, there was one in Kyoto, one in Osaka, one in Shibuya. So they're all over. I don't know if I want to do Tokyo, but honestly, like, whatever I can get, I'm cool with. So.
I agree, son. I said it'd be cool. I said I've looked into some of those in the past too, but my only time being off in the summer trying to find classes that are concurrent with that time off is not something I've found yet, but it's something I would almost like to look back into myself, because I think being there and being immersed and having that be the only thing you're really focused in on would be a huge thing.
Yeah.
We had some fun on this trip already, though, and I'll probably save my pictures of bathrooms that were horrible in Southern Illinois for when this podcast drops. Just if you want to go check it out, like that's it was not great. It was not great, but
the gold standard that Japanese toilets seem to have is not consistent over here.
Yeah, And we just want to give a hack. If you end up in Nashville and you end up at a place that has shabu shabu in its name,
It's really not.
it's not shabu shabu. It's hot pot. Hot pot, and then just your grill that you can grill meats on. So
They call themselves shabu shabu, but it's a hot pot and grill.
so just something to, if you make your way to Nashville to catch a concert, don't be fooled. It's hot pot, and that's okay. It was still great though for what it was. We had a conveyor belt running around, bringing us different things. Pro hack. I say if you want noodles, might grab 2, or if you want salad, grab 2. And
It takes forever to go. I remember waiting like 5 minutes for the udon to come back around. I'm like, oh.
so just take that, and then when the guy offers you, if you like hot, go the mild hot, because I went medium hot.
Clear your sinuses quick.
I went medium hot, and the noodles, udon noodles, were soaking in that, and it just made it all that much hotter. So, and speaking of hot, it's actually getting hot in the car now that we've turned our
I was like,
So, enjoy all that you're about to listen to. It was wonderful to record. It's not all that we said it was in that, like there was going to be as much as what it was, but I think I say this when we're talking, just forgive us because the fact that we were just enjoying ourselves. But enjoy for what you're going to listen to. Reach out if you got any questions, and we'll be back to some of our day trip episodes. We're going to work on one that's for the town we stayed in that was near Osaka, Kix Airport, of just some things to do before you take off and a reason to stay there, and that'll be coming up too. And interviews are beginning to line up for that November time with people when seasons end for climbing and stuff. So lots coming your way, and look forward to it then. AC back. Talk to you guys later. Enjoy. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Okay, son, I don't know how this is going to turn out, everybody that's listening. We're going to have music that gets louder. We're at Universal Studios. Sam's number one thing that he had to do before he's coming. What are you thinking so far, my son?
This is pretty extreme. It's been a while since I've been to a big amusement park like this. I mean, I go to Six Flags, but this is a different beast entirely. It's huge, and it's so cool to see everyone dressed up, and it's like Disney except for Mario, so it's a million times better.
One pro hack that we can tell you is that you can actually bring your own water into the park. So go buy those 110, 130 yen oversized large containers from where you're at, Lawson, 7-Eleven, whatever. Freeze one of them, throw them in your bag, and bring them in here. Otherwise,
You'll be paying double for much less.
it's like 250 yen for a small bottle, which is still not horrible. If we were like stateside, I know it'd be like $5, $6, $7, but so it's not, 250 yen is what it is, but save yourself some time, money, and we've already had like 3 bottles of water, and we've been here 30 minutes, I don't know, like an hour. What are you most looking forward to so far today?
Definitely the Nintendo Mario World, the Mario Kart ride, even the Jujutsu Kaisen. It's so surreal seeing anime. It's such a prevalent thing.
One thing I was telling Sam was that one of my favorite things to do, like you guys know, is to go to a mall and see people being people. And this park is filled with families being families. We happen to be here at a time when they're on summer vacation, so they're not at school. And you see whole families dressed up, and it's amazing.
It's so interesting seeing how everybody lives like casually, going to like it's so cool to see how people in Japan live, and it's cool to compare and see. It's just so cool.
Outstanding. We're going to pause right here, guys, because we're waiting to get into Mario World. We tried to do the
foreigner
card of walking up and showing our ticket to see if we could just get in. They very politely, very nicely. One thing Sam said too is like, yeah, surprised how polite everybody is here. But they just kind of motioned us off the side, said come back at time, which isn't too far away. But hey, the worst thing was going to happen. They were going to say no, and now we're just having a water and sitting in some shade for a little bit. So we'll bring more to you either in Mario World or after we're out. Okay, so we lied. We're not in Mario. This
Coming
isn't
back
after
at
Mario.
you again. From the same place.
The same place. Sam brought up a good point. His dad has his phone set to Japan for the App Store.
Because he's really cool.
And because of that, I can download the Universal app. And I have a map on there that tells you where to go and gives you a little indicator where you're at. But Sam brought up a good point. What did you notice, son?
The path to get to the Mario World has no indication whatsoever that it is the path to the Mario World. I might have missed something along the way, but the way to get to it, you just see rocks, which it looks more like the Harry Potter world than the Mario World. So it's interesting. You figured there'd be like a, hey, this way to Mario World, but none of that. So without the map, you're kind of, you need that map. You need that map for sure.
So I don't know if that's something we can, you might be able to find like Google online or whatever it is, or, you guys reach out. Like if I remember, we'll try to post a picture of the map, just like an Instagram post for us or something like that. One other thing I want to point out too is like if you go to Six Flags, you go to something stateside, you go to an amusement park, when you open up, all of the stores are open. But I will tell you right now, there is not one stall. Like there's some stalls that are open. Sam got a very cool Bulbasaur, icy drink, and it was limited to one per customer. Apparently they must sell out. But there's a Baskin Robbins, there's a pizza place, there's like all these different food areas, and none of them are open. The park has been opened for, right now, I want to say at least an hour, if not an hour and a half potentially, because when we got here, people were already inside.
Yeah.
And not one place is open. It's just stalls. Sam bought a very cool one-piece hat, which he's rocking right now. But nothing is open. So once again, when you're at the Lawsons, grab yourself some snacks, grab yourself some drinks, and when the stuff opens up, whenever that is, we'll try to tell you about that later, but just wanted to point out what Sam saw, which is there's no indication of where you're going. So the only thing I can say is after you head into the main area, the one gentleman told us to head to the right. So take that first right, and you're gonna come to this kind of like big circle, and you're gonna end up going in a huge loop all the way around, and when you see the rocks that Sam's talking about, you're going kind of in that right direction. And when you see Water World, it's to the right of Water World, and there's not, again, much of like indications of things that's the way. There's just a mass of people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, this has to be it. With how many people are jammed in. So we join the line, just join your queue and go from there. And one other thing to say about this, don't just buy the pass, the day pass. If you buy the day pass, you won't be able to get into Mario World. You need to actually buy the timed entry to get into things like your Mario, and I think possibly to get into Harry Potter World. And those tickets are like around $250 each. But if you're going to spend the day here, you miss out on so much. Like if you're going to do the 90.
Yeah, you need to get here as early as possible, no matter what your time is, because there's so much to see, so much to do. Like even if you have to wait 2-3 hours, you can easily walk around and explore. There's so much to look at.
And one other thing I just want to say, is when you get off at the Universal Station, one really cool thing is, what did you notice, Sam, when we came out of the station?
We were there, and immediately there was a Lawson's to our left, and everything you need, and you just walk down, and you're there. Everyone's, yeah.
Amazing is all we got to say.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, we're going to grab some water now, and in theory, we're going to do what we said earlier, which was come back to you after or during Mario.
No guarantees.
That's the only guarantee. Okay, everybody, we are going to make this probably quick. We are inside Bowser's Castle getting ready for Mario Kart Adventure.
This is crazy. The decor, can only imagine how long and how much money went into this.
It is like you're in the castle.
Yeah.
Everything is way more than what you would even expect it to be.
Yeah.
And the best part, my friends, air conditioning, which
you need after being outside for so long.
you can also get a band. I thought they were I don't know what I was expecting for the bands, but you actually can choose any character that's there. So it's like Mario, Luigi,
Peach, Daisy, Yoshi, and Toad.
And then those are what you use to kind of go through. And again, if you have the Universal app, you can track your progress, and it gives you a map for the location for you to kind of navigate and go through. Buying the pass that gives you the times is clutch.
Oh, yeah. Man, just walking through, I'm taken away, completely blown away by everything.
The wait time for people that didn't have the pass is 2 hours for someone to do doubles.
And it just opened,
So, and we're on the left-hand side of everything, just walking by people. And hopefully not too quick, though, because we want to enjoy the air conditioning.
Yeah, we're enjoying this AC very much.
Coming to you guys a little bit later more. This is amazing. It's simply amazing.
Hey, this is T-Ray, of course, as you know, from Hanshin Tigers English News H10. I'm at Koshien Stadium on this Tuesday, July the 25th, with some special guests. That's right, we've got a couple of folks from Patreon with us. We've got Michael Schulke, who has had his name mentioned on the show several times. And Michael has actually had me on his podcast, which is called Lost Without Japan. You need to check that out if you have not already done so. Anyways, Michael, thanks for coming all the way out to Japan to hang out with us and to take in a ball game.
I cannot appreciate it more. It was a wonderful experience. Brought my son for his first game in Japan. Had to be a Hanshin Tigers game. He brought his luck. We leave with the win. What else do you want?
We're up here in the Lawson deck following a 4-2 Hanshin Tigers win over the Yomiuri Giants. And Sam, thanks for joining us as well.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great first experience. Definitely very different from any other baseball game I've ever been to in the States. Totally different experience. I almost don't want to compare it just because it's that different, but everyone's into it. I loved it.
Are you going to talk to people back home about this game when you get back?
Oh, yeah. I wish it was a little more accessible overseas, but everyone I know who I've talked to who's been to a game has said it's an incredible experience, and I hope it just spreads more and more because Japanese baseball, it just keeps on the up and up.
It's the gift that never stops giving. And you can hear right now, the crowd is actually singing Shintaro Yokota's hitting march, or his theme song. Of course, we know that Yokota passed away a week ago from brain cancer at the age of 28. And this was the game that was dedicated to him. It was kind of a memorial game for him. I'm glad the Tigers came through with the win, but let's talk a little bit more about your trip here, Michael and Sam. When did you arrive in Japan, and what all do you have on the docket besides coming to see Hanshin Tigers?
Funny part is we've only been for a couple of days, but we've had a jam-packed couple of days. We ended up meeting out in Osaka, running around. Sam bought some high fashion, used fashion, new fashion, record stores, running around all of Osaka. What did you end up getting, son, that was the big
purchase so far? I bought my first Supreme merchandise. I bought some just clothes. I'm big into the fashion here, and it's been amazing to see those stores and just to people watch, kinda, just to see what it's so interesting to see what everyone's wearing and go into stores, and it's been a blast.
Then we went to Universal Studios with Mario World yesterday. That was better than what we could have hoped for. Could have hoped for a little cooler weather, but then we followed it up with the game today, and then for the rest of the time we're going to be going out to Hiroshima to catch a carp game for the first time, and then we're going to be hanging out, visiting some friends that are out there, and then heading into Tokyo for his first time, and we're going to be staying in Akihabara so that he can be in that area, walk around. We're going to catch another baseball game out there. I won't say the name of the team, but we'll hopefully bring the luck for their loss, while we're out there. And then we're going to do a little lost in translation moment. Go to the New York bar together. We have our camo shirts ready to be flipped out like Bill Murray, and share a drink. Look at the Tokyo nightlight, and then come back to Osaka and head home. So it's just going to be packed.
Sounds like a nice full trip, and looks like you're going to have lots to report about on your podcast once you get back, or I'm sure you're doing recording. I think you mentioned that already. You're doing recordings as you experience stuff here. Why don't we talk a little bit about your podcast, because I don't know if our audience really knows what you're doing. So it's called Lost Without Japan, as we said, but why don't you tell us a little bit, what is it about, where did you get the idea, and what are some of the, well, we'll start with that.
Sure. I said there's been some podcasts, and it kind of led me to that. One of them is Japan 2.0, who I met up with on Sunday, and they are kind of like that. Not necessarily the forefront of things that are going in Japan, but more you're like going the second time, going a third time, trying to get deeper into things.
Oh, cool.
And my long-term goal is to be here full time. And I could be here every summer if I could. And one of the things that helps keep me attached to Japan is doing my podcast about it, where I interview people from Japan, and it could be tour guides, it could be people that do different businesses. It's just a kind of a collection of people that are in Japan and how they got there. And our other portion of things we end up doing are like day trip talks. And I basically give you a list of places to stay and give you a day trip itinerary with like Google Map locations for each place that you're going to. And kind of in that theme of not necessarily doing the most well-known, it's not going to be just hitting, Tokyo or just places that are there, but hitting some other lesser-known areas in it as well.
Well, and then not even necessarily the most touristy spots in those places that you're talking about, but you're giving ideas of things that people maybe have not heard of. Like they may have if they are quite into Japan, but if they're the average person that just knows about Tokyo or like maybe Shibuya or a couple of areas, like you're going deeper than that so that they can hear about things that they might want to do besides those surface things.
And I feel like you miss out if you all you can do is Tokyo or all you can do is Kyoto. I'm not gonna say anything to anybody. You made it here. That's great. But I would so urge people. I say like on my podcast all the time, catch a baseball game, preferably the Hanshin Tigers.
Yeah.
But if you can't, just catch some things, do some things you wouldn't normally do at home, and you're gonna enjoy your experience. And I feel see a more real side of Japan than just hitting those tourist spots and not necessarily taking away all you could from here. And when you do, and I think Sam can speak to this too, he grew up unfortunately with a dad that's super into Japan, and he's here with me now, and it means the world to me. And we're like you said, we're going to record, not necessarily always the best audio, but we're recording our time through it, and then having that as something to kind of reflect on and then also share is going to mean the world. But seeing him be as excited as I was on my first trip and getting to relive that excitement with him again has meant a lot. And we've only, just begun, so it's been great.
Yeah, and let me just say that, like, the effort that my dad has put into his podcast the last few years has shown, and like, it's just so great to see him have an outlet for this. It means so much to him, and it's great to see him put in the work for that.
Yeah, I think Michael is a fellow podcaster, and well, I'm also a blogger, but I think you can probably agree with me on this. Like, one of the best ways to learn something deeply is to teach others about it, or to kind of do that groundwork for other people. Like when I do H10, I mean, when I started, I didn't know baseball very well at all. I knew the basic rules, but I didn't know the strategies. I didn't know what went into pitching. I didn't know what went into fielding, hitting, anything like that. But as I started to translate stuff, interviews with players, listening to more sports experts, I was just building my knowledge up in Japanese and saying, now I got to spit this out in English, and being able to regurgitate or to synthesize it and put it into something that was more palatable for other people allowed me to like learn it even more deeply, and it was just a richer experience. And I'm sure you feel the same way about your pod.
And it's the connections that you make because of it, like like sitting with you now, or sitting with the others, or the other, like, you know, meeting John, like again, here today. It's those connections that you're making with everybody that end up being worth just so much. And then because of that, like I had someone reach out recently that was going to Japan for the first time, and you're able to help people like as you do with your information, or like helping get to a game, show how it can be accessible, you know, saving somebody thinking that they could buy a JR pass here and not knowing that it's something that you need to do before you come, like that's huge. You know, like you make a difference in someone's trip, and you know, like that to me is worth worth everything. Or being able to share that passion that you have of like, hey, here's some places to check, and then hearing that feedback from them that's like, I would have never gone here, I would have never have done this, but this is like one of my favorite parts of what I've done is huge. It's huge.
It really does come down to the human connections, the relationships that are built, and just meeting people and learning their perspectives on things, and kind of walking a few miles down the road with them. And I mean, that's been one of the most rewarding things about me doing H10 as well. Like, you know, if someone asked me, well, how many followers do you have, or how many hits do you have on your site? Yeah, I know those numbers, but you know what's even more meaningful is what kind of people have you met and friendships have you developed from this? What kind of experiences have you had with others doing this?
Yes.
And it's also like, I don't know how you do things. It sounds like, Sam really, admires what you do, and I'm sure you're doing tons of stuff, but I couldn't do any of this on my own. Right. I'm kind of the face of my, whatever you want to call it, but there's so many people behind me helping out in incredible ways, and so it's humbling to know that people are willing to step up and kind of help you out in your endeavors.
Yes, yes, 100%. And having the support of your family, friends and things, and Sam's hopped on a bunch with me, especially lately as we've been leading up to what it is, and just having this to be something to share with them. And again, when I am here, I feel I'm going to have such, in kind of a selfish way, but not, is that when I do make the move and I'm out here full time, I'm going to have a network of people that I don't just know, but have like connections with and have a friendship with. And that's going to be just amazing. It's going to be amazing.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I think we're about to get whisked out of here by the security guard. So we're going to wrap things up, but thanks again so much, Michael, for coming to the game with me. I had a blast with you. I had a blast with you, Sam. And we're shutting down because the man is telling me to get out. So this is T-Ray from H10 and Michael from Lost Without Japan. Check us both out, our podcasts.
Thank you, guys. Okay, we're gonna say this is after the Hanshin Tigers game, and we're gonna go from there. I'm gonna apologize in advance for any phone audio, but it is what we have at the moment. We just finished Sam's first Hanshin Tigers game, and we're outside a Lawson's, and Sam was commenting about his food experience so far, so we'll take back off, Sam. What were you saying about your your rice balls?
I've been super adventurous, but I've been trying to try different flavors as I go. I'm not like the safe one I usually go with is any salmon or stuff like that, but usually, or sometimes they don't have it the later I go. So Bonito Flakes has been a one that I've liked. It might not be the most popular, but I like it. I'm trying this new one right now that is grilled salmon flakes. So I'm not sure what that's going to be like exactly, but I'm excited to try. My favorite one so far has been from, I think it was don't know if it was a Family Mart or it was like no. It was one that's not as common. That was like a fatty tuna and I think soy sauce or something. And that was really, really good. That was my favorite so far. But yeah,
we're last time we have audio. We were at Mario World and at Universal. What did you end up thinking about that after getting out the other side of being at?
Oh yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. It was very overwhelming. I'm glad we did it, but it's one of those things. Unless my friends really, really push for it, I'm gonna be like, did it, been there. It was really cool. The Mario World was by far my favorite, but my brain is just like it was totally fried by the end of it. I was just like overload.
And I think we each probably had, not joking, 12 bottles of water, and we were only there from like 8 to 12, like 8 to noon. It's like 4 hours, 12 bottles of water, and we still had to stop and get something to drink before, even leaving. And I wouldn't have been one of the first places that I had to go to, but I think if you go, like we said, with the pass where you get your assigned times, you put it first so that you get what you want first. And one thing we noticed, I don't know if we've talked about yet, is that without the app that's through the Japanese store, it is kind of hard to figure out where you're going. Sam is beginning to experience how Japan doesn't necessarily give you signs of where you need to go, and that when your signs do appear, they're kind of behind something or small. So that map is clutch, for you. So if any of you are thinking of taking a trip to Universal, reach out and I will try to, at least send you the map picture that I have. Today we went to a Hanshin Tigers game, your first game. We met up with Trevor from the Hanshin Tigers English podcast. We just ended up recording with him, and we did so after Sam is 1-0 and has a victory under his 2. What'd you think of the game?
Man, that was awesome. From what I've watched, I've never been super wowed by, like, I love the league and I love the teams and everything, but I was completely blown away by everything I saw today. I saw 2 home runs. Those don't happen nearly as much as they do in the MLB, and to see 2 of them was really cool. To see the crowd chants, and every time someone got a hit, to be right next to the Giants fan section, and then also chant with the Tigers fans when they scored. It was super duper cool. So just a totally different experience. It's hard to compare because it's just completely a different thing entirely from any other baseball game you'd go to.
And our Pro Hack, Japan 2.0 copyright is you can bring your own food and water into the park, and I would recommend bringing some food and like chips. There were a couple people that were in our group today that we met up with. John, who we interviewed on the show, he was there, and it was nice to didn't plan on meeting again today, but both fans of the Tigers, so it ended up working out. It was good to catch up with him and talk a little Boston and a little bit of Japan. It was all a lot. And then with the victory, there was a huge, the celebration is there's a ton of light sticks, LEDs. I'll put some photos up at some point on my timeline. And it was just so cool to see, again, just the whole stadium of people being into it, as close as what you can get to everyone in Wrigley after a win singing Go Cubs Go, but on like steroids with just a whole light show to go along with it. And you're not going to find water if you want it. So there is, milk flavored, water. There's, a ton of sports drinks. There's a ton of alcohol, but just straight up water and Coke, your sodas. But if you're looking for water, I'd bring it. And there are some lockers at that stadium, but if you're going to look to take advantage of those, you need to be very early. And one thing I want to say, being on the ground here, is that a lot of what I had in the past was I would take my bills, dollar bills, or my larger coins and break them down to 100 yen coins they'll use at the coin locker. But what has happened in some of these places we're going to is that there's no longer a change machine. It's been replaced by like an IC card reader, so like your Suica card or other cards. But the problem is that the Suica card didn't work with every single locker that was there. It only worked with like 13 or 14 of these 100 and something lockers. So we had to end up getting change because we didn't have the 700 yen we needed to store our big bags for the day.
After walking through all that and already being like completely exhausted carrying all our luggage, and then not having enough for the locker with no like change machine in sight, I'm like, come on, please.
So I would say, hey, keep 10 100 yen coins on you, keep 14 of them, whatever it is, just keep those for locker usage. You never know when you're going to need it, but you will end up being thankful that you have those coins and you don't have to do it. But I was able to work out just going up to somebody and who was at a counter that was selling like confectionery things with my 500 yen coin, and was just very politely, just asked for change and pointed towards lockers, and it was done with a huge smile. So there's a lot you can do. Don't have to worry about it. But we're just gonna finish up our snack here. We're giving the park a chance to empty out, and we needed some energy to get back to where we're staying. So anything else you want to share, son, or we're just gonna call it and we will join up again later?
Yeah, we'll see you guys later, or hear you guys later.
That's all of the above. Bye, guys.
The holes you see in the ceiling are from Otani home runs.
Okay, we are in the middle of Tokyo right now. You can hear all of the cars and things that are going by, so we're going to do the best we can with audio and go from there. Whatever we get's whatever we got for this trip, and that's been like the MO to this point. We are sitting here together. Maurice, who's been on the show a few times, at this time is actually in person.
Yes, in person.
In person, and we were kind of just talking and stuff. We'll make this quick and short so we don't take up too much of your night, but both of us have been talking about things that have kind of caught us as being different on this trip as opposed to last couple of trips we're in. what is it for you that is that, like, or what are some of the things that you've noticed that have just been different this trip?
This trip, so first and foremost, let me just get this out of the way. The heat. I know there's kind of a global kind of heat thing going on right now. I know in the United States we're talking about the heat a lot, but the heat here in Tokyo is unlike anything I've ever experienced. I've come to Japan several times, probably close to half a dozen or more now at this point, at different times during the year. But this heat this time around feels absolutely different. This is not a political soapbox, but it's hot. It's very, very hot. And on top of that, it's also very, very crowded. I know that we spoke before that I did get here right before the border opened, and I was there after the border opened, but the level of tourism did not return in the way that it had at this point, and just trains, all the streets, everything, extremely crowded. You see on the internet the footage of people being shoved into the train. I had not seen that personally ever until this trip. And we're not talking like 8:30 to 9 or so ish rush hour at any point. It's ridiculous. And there's some rats in the bushes beside us, so just keep that in mind.
We may have to move. Just be like, hey, I see him going to hang out right there.
Oh, he's chilling out.
He's like Tokyo Rats, baby. That's first. I will admit though, I've been in June. I've been in July, but I usually tap out about July. But man, it has been 100, feels like 100 plus every day. It's been high 90s every day. And we leave, and I think it drops back to like the high 80s.
Oh.
And I'd take anything. I went out to buy Fuji, and it dropped by 20 degrees by going out. I felt like, out that direction, and I would have probably added some more places for me, and I will 100% say yes, it is crazy busy. No matter what time you are here, it is just busy. And I gotta say, for me, that's too much, man. Like for Tokyo, like in particular, like I thoroughly enjoyed Hiroshima. It was a different pace. It was still busy, but it was not like your top tourist destination. And if you stay away from the Peace Museum area, which is really pretty much like if people go to Hiroshima, that's like what they're gonna hit, and they're gonna bounce. If you get anything outside of that, totally different.
Absolutely.
Totally different. And I will say a couple things. My JR Pass was lost, but was found. And just something that I want to tell you all is, if you lose it, it doesn't matter if you had it for 3 weeks. It doesn't matter if you had it for 2 weeks. It doesn't matter if it's the first hour you have it. You are out of luck, my friend, and you will be paying for everything that you have from that point in time. So just really make sure you're like not letting the heat get to you, and putting it someplace and then finding it later. Just put it in the same spot. Keep it secure. Just don't mess around with it. The other thing we were talking about a little bit earlier too is reservations, man. Even before you come, if you got places you want to go to, like reserve before your flight takes off. Like, do those reservations.
100%. And just to come back to the JR Pass thing, I've heard of one instance where they reissued it. There's an Instagram YouTuber that does a lot of Japan content, and he was doing an itinerary for someone, and she lost her JR Pass because if you know at the transit gate, you have to insert it in one end and then pick it up at the other end. Well, the machine did not spit it out. It chewed it up. And for the longest time, they were like, we don't reissue it. I guess they thought that she was a foreigner who was like making something up, and she was like, no, it's in the machine. And so she actually got a station agent to come over, take the machine apart, like the top of it, and there was her JR Pass stuck in the machine, chewed up, and they reissued it for that reason. That's the only other reason I've ever heard it reissued. Other than that, you are SOL. And speaking of that gate, that transit gate, whenever you stick it in there, do not forget it. Make sure you always pick it up at the other end, because if you miss it, you're behind. At any time of the day, if you're in Tokyo, there's gonna be a horde of people behind you who are just as much in a rush as you are. Just pick it up, don't forget it, because turning around to go pick it up might prove to be very, very difficult.
No doubt about it. And one other thing, just in that reservation thing, is you really need to book ahead of time. Like, book when you first arrive, book all the different things that you want to go see, and just do it, because I'm regretting it. I put off some of my reservations. I normally just book everything to start. I get here, I get in. Following day, I go to the train station, book everything I want to go see, and I have everything. If you got to exchange it, they're not going to care. You go drop it off, say I want to return this, but don't put it off. I was looking to go someplace with like 3 or 4 days advance notice, and things are booked. I feel like they have less trains available, or like, you know, you're saying, man, like it's just the tourism is so much right now that it's just people are going so many places, it's just not available. And I just can't tell you enough, man. Just book it ahead of time. If you got to change it, you got to change it, but you're not going to miss out. My son wanted to go to Kyoto. He did not go to Kyoto because it just wasn't there, you know, in our cards for him to get back out. So, you know, just think about what you want to do. Make the reservations for the place you have. Do it as far out as advanced as you can. And, man, drink lots of water.
Yes. Oh, gosh, yes. Please drink lots and lots of water. When I was, where was I? I think I was in Fukuoka at the time, and on the news they were playing repeatedly this heat exhaustion, heat stroke advisory sort of warning with a bunch of tips. Like, it's on the news daily. Like, they're well aware of how hot it is, and they're taking it very, very seriously. So another thing that I picked up that I didn't do last time because I didn't feel like I needed to was when you're walking around the streets, hide in the shade.
Yeah.
If you're at an intersection and there's one of those hard red lights and you're going to wait there for a minute or so, look for some shade. That's what all the other citizens are doing, because with the humidity and the heat the way it is, if you're in the shade, it's easily a 5 to 10 degree difference just from not being in direct sunlight. So take that into account, because you're going to get dehydrated, you're going to sweat your ass off much faster than you think that you will.
And one thing I started taking on doing too is it's really easy to buy. Like, I normally in the past, if I'm walking around, I'm going to come across the vending machine, I'm going to buy my water and keep going. You know what? There's a million Lawsons, there's a million 7-Eleven, there's a million Family Mart. Go in and spend like 10 minutes just walking the aisles for a little bit, then get that water or whatever drink it is that you were going to get from the vending machine and cool off a little bit and keep on going, because it is just no joke right now. And we say that, but it's like, it's really, this is for me too the hottest that I've ever had to be here. And my son has been a champ through the whole thing. So, that's like, those are the big things I say I got. I'm like, I know Sam and I will hit across some things. We're getting together. Sam and I just did a Tokyo Giants game. I have some things to say about that as well, including the fact, just as a teaser ahead of time, you can't find a hat for the team inside the stadium. If you want a hat to wear and you want to buy it, you got to buy it outside the stadium.
What?
Yeah, you go inside and it's like jerseys, it's the things to hit together, it's like your towels, it's a bunch of things, not a hat to save your life. So if you want a hat, get it before you go in. I am -1 hat for this purchase, but you know, it's like, but you know, it is what it is. I don't want to keep you any, longer. Anything else you want to share, my friend, before we just call it a night?
Oh gosh. All right, so there is another YouTuber that I follow loosely because his stuff is typically pretty actionable. But one thing he always, and I'm going to say harps on, but harp is not the right way. It's just an interest of educating people. Please get out of Tokyo. Go elsewhere.
Yes.
Japan is not just Tokyo. And if you're under that impression that Tokyo gives you a complete view of the country, it's not correct. Please go elsewhere. If you're someone who is going to use a JR pass, get it. Take it. Use it to its full value. Don't just go to Kyoto. Please, because I promise you, if you're someone who's been ingesting lots of YouTube content, the Kyoto that you're thinking of is a very small area. Please go elsewhere. Even like the other cities, go to Sendai.
Yep.
Go to Fukuoka. Go to Hiroshima. That's a big one. Go to that one. Oh gosh, just go to Hokkaido, please. Just
go to Sapporo. There's really anything.
Yeah, just go other places. And I say that partially, for self-serving reasons, because you're more likely to be less cramped. Tokyo is so cramped right now. So if you need a respite from that extreme hustle and bustle, going to a different city would probably satisfy that need. If you needed to get away, some people love the hustle and bustle, constant, crowded trains, sweating everywhere, 24/7. 24/7. But if you're like me and need a break from that occasionally, there are plenty of places in Japan that have a slower pace, less crowded pace that you might enjoy as well.
And I will say, like, I've come around to the APA hotels are fantastic. They get your own space. You're not all crammed in with each other. You get a new towel each day. Their locations are great.
They're everywhere.
And my son, I'm going to share with you all, taught his dad a life hack. So if you stay at a business hotel, you put your key card in, and that's when your air conditioning is on and your light is on. And if you step out of your room, you take your key card with you, it is all off until you come back. My son forgot his key in the room, so he grabbed a key. He said, "Oh, I left my key in the room." They gave him a new key. The new key he uses to get for the door to go in and out and do whatever he has, but on days where he wants to have it cool when he comes back, he'll pop back during the day, pop that second key card back in the lights and the AC and take full advantage of a cool room. And when it's been 100 something, I was like, "Son, I'm gonna follow in your footsteps." As wrong as it may be, I was like, don't do that. And then, make sure if you're going to do that, put the sign outside that says you don't want any room service. You don't want to or the turn down and sheets and things like that. You don't want to get in trouble for it. But if you're here and it's 100 something degrees and you want to pop in a couple hours before you're going to be back, put that in. Take full advantage of it and go on from there. But I'm going to let you go, man. I'm just glad we were able to meet in person, and I'm gonna keep on going on. I'm a couple days left in this, and I'm gonna be heading to Osaka in 2 days to have just a chill time to myself. That's one other thing I'll say. If you're traveling with a group of people, make sure you have your own time as well. So other than that, I know we'll all be talking again soon, and there's gonna be so much to take back from this trip as a whole. So whenever you end up hearing this,
hey,
it'll be there. But thank you, my friend.
Of course, of course.
Okay, son, we're at the end of our trip, and there's been quite a gap
since our last talk and foray and things. It was back in. Wasn't it after the Tigers game?
Might have been after the Tigers game. So we're at the end of our trip now.
Post Hiroshima, post Tokyo.
So you're going to have to forgive. We were enjoying ourselves, and finding time to record just really didn't work out for our time that was here. But we are here at the end of the trip, and I know Sam had some things that he wanted to share, and he had a pretty cool experience of something that I still haven't done yet, which was attending a concert. I don't know if you want to do from where we left off on the Tigers game, through, or if you want to backwards.
Oh, man. After the Tigers game, Hiroshima was my favorite part of the trip, just the entire city. I think meeting everyone I did, going to the Korean bar, and everybody you met before, and then meeting people my own self, and going out, new experiences. I think Hiroshima was just the most memorable, and definitely the city I'm most excited to go back to my next trip. But yeah, after Hiroshima, after all that, there's so much to, like, Hiroshima we just got completely lost in, I think, and like it didn't even
one thing I liked about Hiroshima was in some ways that no matter where you were in the city, you were at max like a 50-minute walk to where you got from. And like if you're in Tokyo and you're out late and you missed that last train, you're staying pretty much wherever you're at. Yeah. But when we were in Hiroshima and we missed the last train because we were visiting friend of the show, either Good Time, or we were visiting Rock at his establishment with his Korean izakaya. Both of those places are actually going to be opening up new establishments. So unless you are in Japan right now, chances of you being able to eat at Good Time anymore in the future is not going to be good. But we will share the new location because it is good things for them both. They're going to be opening up some new restaurants, and my friend that's over at Good Time, he's excited because he's going to have more creative freedom with a new owner. So just good things. Look forward to meeting them again next summer. But when we were in Hiroshima with those 50-minute walks, when we were out late at night, we could be out till 3 or 4 in the morning, and we were on more than one occasion.
Oh, yeah. Maybe not as we planned, but yeah, it was great. There were a lot of things that I liked Hiroshima over Tokyo for, but that was a big one for sure because I like to stay out late, and I'd like to know that no matter if I'm out till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, if I start walking back, it won't take me forever. And the trams are good too. I mean, they close early-ish, but the walk, like there was no part in Hiroshima where I felt unsafe. Which that goes for a lot of Japan, but especially Hiroshima, like everywhere you go just feels like a good area, good vibes, and just all around a great city.
Oh, I could not agree more. And like I said, it's one place that I could just go to and stay my whole time. Because one thing you found out when you were walking along and exploring was that like Hiroshima has a lot within a very short distance. Do you want to tell us about your 43,000 step day or what
that's one thing. Like we were there for 2 weeks is a pretty long vacation for anybody, but even the 2 weeks wasn't near enough to see everything there was to see. And even living here, living in Hiroshima, you'd never be able to see everything. But there was a whole. I went on an excursion one day to clear my mind, and I ended up going up a mountain. I don't want to say mountain, but I guess it was. There was a cool little park. I'm blanking on the name of it, but there was a cool little monument on top and a really cool lookout over the city. And then I went down the other side, and there was a completely different vibe, and a lot less foreigners over there, a lot less English. So anywhere I went, I was like, uh-oh. I ended up stopping at a cafe that looked cool from the outside, and I got some curry and rice and iced coffee, and that was fantastic. So yeah, the Hiroshima is so vast, and Hiroshima is literally not just the city, it's a whole prefecture.
Yeah.
But yeah, the city itself is huge, and there's so much to see and do, and no trip, I feel like I should stay at least a month to feel fulfilled. But it was still a great time.
And I know you got to do some things. You made your own friends while you were in Hiroshima, and you had some experiences that I've not had myself either. You were able to go sing karaoke with friends in there. Do you want to talk about that? Or?
Oh, yeah. That was a wild time. That night I had to recover. That I lost an entire day afterwards, kind of, because I drank a little too much and ended up going with two Japanese guys I never met in my life to Girls Bar for my first time, and we sang karaoke, and they tried to get me to sing Japanese songs, but obviously I couldn't sing them, so we ended up singing anime openings, Chala He Chala, or a couple Naruto openings, and anytime the English part came on, I sang, and they sang the Japanese part, so just a really cool experience. There were so many times in this trip where I just followed. I don't want to say follow because that sounds creepy, but like people just are like, hey, yeah, come with us and we'll like take you to a bar, we'll take you out to eat, and like everyone is so welcoming with that. And I made so many friends just by doing that. So super cool.
And then after we were in Hiroshima, we ended up heading back to, or not back to, but we ended up actually going out to Tokyo for your first time. And I know you were saying it was kind of nice that you did Osaka and Hiroshima first before Tokyo.
Yeah.
Because Tokyo is definitely its own entity, in and of itself. Mm-hmm. You got to experience Tokyo Station for the first time.
Not fun.
Not fun, but he survived. He survived, and you actually made it through Tokyo's subway systems and things like that as well.
Yeah.
What did you... I know you went off exploring a lot in Tokyo. What were some of the things that you enjoyed doing the most?
My favorite day in Tokyo was when I went on my own and did my Persona tour. So I went to... I kind of pulled up a map, and I just followed the real-life locations of a lot of Persona locations, so I ended up in areas I would have never gone to otherwise. So I started off in Shibuya. Not a big fan of Shibuya, too much going on. I'm not like a big shopper anyway. I went to Tower Records and spent way too much money, but other than that, I like Shibuya Crossing was cool. I went to the Starbucks that overlooks Shibuya Crossing. And then after Shibuya, I went to Sangenjaya, and Sangenjaya is super cool if you get the chance to check it out. It's there's a lot of, like, Tokyo is so vast that there are a lot of little neighborhoods that kind of go unnoticed. And Sangenjaya, obviously, like, Persona, like, people know it through that, but it's a really cool little neighborhood, or I guess, that I think people should definitely take a look at and check out. And then from there, where did I go next? I think I went to... I went to Aoyama Ichome, where the school is, but the school that they put on the map, on whatever map I was using from Reddit, I could not get to for the life of me, unless I wanted to, like, cross through a field, and, like, there were security guards, and I wasn't trying to end up on some, like, foreigner gets, but it was still cool to walk around the area. I listened to a ton of music that day, and I remember listening to the new George Clan record, walking through that part, and that was super cool. So I just got lost a lot of times and just ended up walking for a while. And then after that, I ended up going to Kichijoji, which I think, outside of the next part I'm going to, Kichijoji is my favorite place in Tokyo. It almost kind of isn't Tokyo. It's very far away. It's about a 40-minute train ride, and that was the express, so I can't even imagine how long the non-express one was. But Kichijoji was really cool. There were a lot less foreigners there than like in Shibuya and stuff like that. So Kichijoji was really cool. I went to the area that the Persona game is modeled off of, and that was super faithful. So that was kind of cool to walk around there. I ended up going to get pizza, and that was a lot of fun. And then I went to I'm blanking on there again, but the park that's the very popular park with the Totoro, the Ghibli Museum is at. I walked around there for a bit, and then finally I went to Shimokitazawa, which is my favorite part of Tokyo that's like super trendy. It's the city that the Butcher the Rock is based off of.
If you want a haircut, that's the place to go to. There's like 20 hair salons.
Seriously. But it was just cool, like going on my own and listening to music and walking through and seeing all the music bars and all the CD stores and the thrift shops and just really cool vibes all around. I felt it was like super up my alley, so that was definitely my favorite town of the trip. But yeah, super cool. So that was my favorite day.
Then you were pretty lucky. We got together. We were actually able to meet friend of the show, Ken, which, if you'd listened to the episode, was Ken Frog, who's an artist here, formerly based out of Tokyo, but still does a lot within Tokyo. And we were able to meet up with him, and he took us to get some skewered chicken and meat and things at one of his favorite spots that he had to do so. When he ended up walking us around the area that he used to live in, and Sam was able to be pretty lucky because we were walking with Ken and we turn a corner and what did you see, son?
Oh yeah, I saw my first geisha. So apparently that's not very easy to come by. So I was lucky.
Yeah, I was like half dressed, like joking. I'm like, "You suck, son!" Like you just show up your first time, and here you go. But that was pretty awesome. We were in an area of Tokyo that has that small geisha district, and it's kind of known as being like a little Kyoto. So we had our fun and things there. And when Sam was out running around, one of the things that I enjoyed the most was I did make my way out to Mount Fuji and Lake Kanagawa, which I've done talks on, and was able to ride the ride up to the top and via the gondola, and just sat there for probably about like 4 hours. And lucked out. I met a nice couple from Taiwan who invited me to visit next summer. And they said, only 3 or 4 hours, we'll show you around if you've never been. They were there celebrating their daughter's 1 year old birthday. So that was wonderful. And what happened was I was sitting there. It was covered in clouds, like it always is whenever I go. But a thunderstorm came in super quick, and they started shutting down the area on top. We're trying to get people to tram down or gondola down, and I was not wanting to get rained on doing the path because it's like a 30-minute walk, and I didn't want to do the gondola ride either since they had overhang. It was in an area that was kind of wouldn't be rained upon as much, maybe. So I either smartly or not smartly waited it out, and what ended up happening was I was given the chance right before stepping onto the gondola. They came rushing over and said that we could stay if we wanted, but the gondola was actually shut down for a little bit, maybe like an hour and a half. And that entire time it was me and just a few people that were there, and we had the whole view to ourselves. And right as that thunderstorm left, I probably got my clearest view of Fuji that I've had, still covered in part by clouds, but the clearest that I've had. And that was like much needed for me to get out of Tokyo and do that walk and things. I just wish that I had more time, or the couple that was there. One thing I can say for that area, if you're going to do it, go there the night before. And a lot of people wake up around 5-something in the morning or 6 a.m. And a lot of people have great clear views and completely cloudless Fuji pictures to flaunt to friends and to myself. So I think next time I come here, besides Steffi was one that I unfortunately was unable to meet up with on this part of the trip. I apologize to her. I hit my Tokyo limit and ended up leaving just a little bit earlier for Osaka. Sam and I were able to go meet up with Maurice, friend of the show as well. We ended up going and getting to meet with him. We had some nice food, and then Maurice and I were able to sit down for about like 12 minutes or so and just chat. We walked around the area that we were in, and just had some fun getting to actually meet in person and kind of share a little bit about what we had. So I'll add that in to what we have as well. And like I said, now we're, I want to say, less than a 20-minute ride from our airport in Osaka, and we're flying out of Kix, and except for Air Canada and them not emailing us to notify us that there's changes to
you're
our
messing
flights.
up your sponsorship.
That's right. Hey, United, I will take sponsorship.
Air Canada? No.
Not so much. Or it's going to have to be like the, there's going to have to be some zeros, Air Canada, if you want my sponsorship, I tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're flying Air Canada, please check your flight
1,000,000 times before you leave.
because we received any email notification that was for anything that was like a flight with them, but what ended up happening was our Chicago to Vancouver leg of the trip both times was like transitioned over to United. We booked directly with Air Canada, called Air Canada and was like, hey, I can't check in with United, what do I do? And they're like, we don't know, maybe you should call them. Not the people that I booked directly with, but with United. And luckily the person that helped me on the other line was able to check us in, sent an email to my son that has our boarding passes. We don't have to worry about it tomorrow. But, you know.
United, 10 out of 10.
It's 10 out of 10 United. 10 out of 10 would fly.
Would fly again.
Would fly again. So if any of you listening have any connections with Air Canada and can help me get my money back for having to pay to be on our flight. I didn't add this before, but we actually had to pay because of our flight being transitioned to United. We didn't have a reserved seat that I'd already paid for on Air Canada. So I had to pay for my son and I to have an assigned seat and not be told we can't board a plane that was fully booked and just show up there. So anybody has connections with there, please reach out to the show. We're not going to end on a gripe fest of things we have, and I'm sure there's going to be more stuff that we had. But would you go ahead and tell everybody just a little bit about your, because I feel like we could go on to this later, we have, but like you did something, you went out to Sendai. And yes. What did you do in Sendai? So we can add in things on a more positive note here than just lambasting.
Sendai, I went to, Sendai would have never been on my radar otherwise, but one of probably my favorite active Japanese band called Trico had a super duper 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 small show in Sendai in a venue called Live House. And I ended up getting a hotel and stayed there overnight. I got to the venue way too early. I didn't know the culture behind concerts in Japan, because usually I go to 1,000,000 concerts back at home, and usually I get there a minimum 3 hours, 4 hours early and line up with my friends. But I got there an hour before. There was no one there. And I got there, I went to get McDonald's and come back, and I went there 30 minutes before, and there was like a group of people who apparently went to a concert beforehand for a different band, so I was confused a little bit, but people started showing up, and I ended up meeting a English teacher who lives in Japan from Denver, so he saved my butt and helped me get through a lot easier than I would have without, because the people at the venue did not know English. So met him, talked to him for a little bit, made friends with a couple other people in the line, and then we went in. The show was awesome. It was kind of a unique show because after the opening band, Trico put on a silent show, so to even further the Japanese shows are a lot less exciting, and I don't want to say exciting, but people in crowds are a lot more tame, obviously, than they are in America. So it was kind of interesting because the first band was a punk band, and I was ready to mosh, and everyone just kind of stood there and me and the guy from Denver were the rowdiest people in the group in the crowd, and it was probably like a 60-person crowd, but we were bobbing our heads and everything, and everyone else around us was like maybe doing a little bit of movement. And when the song was over, they clapped and everything, and I was like, what is going on? This is totally different. And then when Trico came on, they did a silent show, so there was no clapping, no anything, but I could at least still dance a little bit. So they put on a great show. And I got to meet the opening band afterwards and talk to them for a little bit, so super cool. And then I made some friends other than the English teacher in the crowd. They were big Trico fans, and they didn't speak much English, but we made do, and I ended up going out to dinner with some really cool people. So just a really, really cool experience, and I'm glad I went because I was a little nervous going to the show knowing no Japanese, but ended up being an amazing experience.
You think you could have gotten in with just like a Google Translator, things like that?
Yeah, I think so. Without Google Translate, I don't know what I would have done on this trip. But yeah, with the concert, it was super easy. As long as you have Google Translate there, they'll be happy to help. The big confusion was not the lining up, but I apparently had to buy a drink ticket to get in on top of my ticket, which I don't know why that wasn't included with the ticket, but whatever. And the guy was trying to explain to me, but there was obviously translation error, or a language barrier, that's what I mean. And they had to go get the English teacher to be like, hey, explain to this dude.
It's good to know. Good to know if you show up to a place and they're asking for more money, that you're like, hey, it's my ticket money, drink money, or whatever.
Yeah, I was like, I don't need a drink. But yeah.
You do, sir. You do.
But yeah, it was fun.
Outstanding. And I got to say, I was pretty proud of you because, like, early on in the trip, you threw yourself in and you went into some places that you wouldn't expect, and you ate some meals in establishments that didn't have that English or didn't have other things that are there, but really just did your Google Translate, operated maps, and did your trains and everything that you needed to, and we're pro from the start. You really didn't hold back. Is there any advice you'd give to anybody about traveling either Tokyo or just the trains in general that I might not think about, because this is your first time kind of going through traveling Japan?
Yeah. By the time I got to Tokyo, I honestly had no issues going between subways on Tokyo. It was pretty easy. As long as you have Google Maps, it'll tell you where to go. There were very few instances where, at least in Tokyo, it's pretty streamlined, and then there'll be signs that usually tell you where to go. So I had really no issues traveling on the Persona trip day. There wasn't a single time where I was confused.
One thing I don't want to cut you off, I am, but one thing I wanted to point out was, hey, one thing I want to say before I forget is, please bring change with you, 100 yen coins. Like, when you get them, don't spend them. Throw them into a separate thing. Get like $20 worth. I'm not kidding. You want like 20 100 yen coins, because we ended up being stuck in, was it Tokyo when we were waiting? Or was it
Kobe?
Osaka or Kobe maybe?
Kobe.
Yeah, so we were in Kobe and we were looking to drop our bags off. And one little section of it had, like, you could use your IC card, which is like your Suica or your Passmo or other ones. And they had no change machine, my friends. No change machine at all. So we had to go up to other businesses and either please, could I have
coin
some change?
locker.
And Sam went to a 7-Eleven to buy something and got change back and got like a 500 yen coin. And he's like, no, I don't want a 500 yen coin. I want the 100 yen coins. So please do yourself a favor for lockers and other things. There were instances also, you really need to get a Swooka card or the Passmo card or my Platypus card. I forget what it's called. Icoca. But get those, my friends. You can't really do it without it anymore. You really need to have those cards both for subways and just for like getting around or
convenience stores. Yeah, the transit cards were awesome. I didn't really know the full extent before coming, but I ended up using all of my 200 that I had put away on it because it's so much easier at convenience stores than going through your change and fumbling around in front of the poor cashier who's looking at you like an idiot. It's so much easier to just be like, oh, Swooka, like 7-Eleven, you can tap on the screen. Some of the stores have where you can tap on the screen and you just tap it, but if you just show them your phone and tap your Swooka, they'll pull it up, and way easier than trying to fumble around with your coins.
Then you won't be stuck like his dad, where he was putting all of his 1 yen coins on his bed tonight as a gift because you just can't get rid of them anywhere once you get them.
Yeah, if you ever feel worthless or useless in your life, just remember that there are 1 yen coins, which are literally worth 1/10 of a cent.
That's right. It's like you're worth significantly more than that. Significantly more. And I'd say, besides that, I said the only other things I'd say for just like tips and things that I'm remembering as we're going through, and like I said, we'll sit down once we get home later, but my battery packs, I would say that I needed to have replaced them. I've had some since 2017, and I should have just replaced them because one failed on me. The newer ones were okay, but if you had them, you may need to buy the USB-C adapters. I think I'm just going to go home and buy ones, try to find ones that are just USB-C, even though I was struggling to do that before. But maybe I'll find something. But otherwise, we'll talk more. As I said, we have some electronics purchases, stores that we purchased. CDs. So many CDs. But I think that's enough for tonight. We got about 30 minutes of time in for this. And this is just going to be one streamlined thing. We're going to either watch a movie or figure something out to do. We'll either talk at the airport or again later on the other side. Thanks for putting up with our audio for our time and being with us for the adventure. Bye.
Sam had a perfect way to describe air conditioning in Japan.
It's like a 1 yen coin. Is it really there, or is it just, especially the airport right now we're at, it's like neither hot nor cold. It's just kind of uncomfortable. It's like a clammy kind of feeling.
I think it's perfect. When you make it to Japan, if you haven't before, or if you have, you know those 1 yen coins, you hold them. It's not like there's really anything in your hand at all. Mm-hmm. And it's like you notice something, but you don't at the same time. You know,
I wonder how many 1 yen coins it would take for you to be like, oh yeah, there's something there.
If we do that on the plane for our trip to Vancouver, we'll let you know. But I will say that when I had like 30 or 40 in my bag, I noticed it at that point in time. So that's all.
Okay, so Sam and I are at Osaka Airport. Kick's about to fly out, and I take back my prior statement about Air Canada from the standpoint of I was told right before we checked in that we were moved again without notification to a flight that took off earlier. It would have us flying into San Francisco and then to Chicago. And after we were forced to do that and given no choice to not do that, I told them, hey, my son and I are together, right? And nope, we were not. It would have just been myself and then my son going in our original path. So once they saw that that was the case and we were flying together, suddenly a seat opened back up for me, and now we're flying our original flight to Vancouver and back again. So all I can say, my friends, is I'm sure other airlines have had this occurrence before, and I'm not telling you not to fly them. I'm just saying, listen to all that's happened to me and make your own decision.
I know what I will be doing in the future before and which airlines I'll be admitting for my searches, and that's all I'm going to say. Bye.
Hey, son. It's been a while.
But to the listeners, it hasn't been long at all.
It's going to be almost like they're one after another.
Was the last time we talked to Osaka? Yeah, Osaka.
Well, I think we talk?
Oh, we did like a little bit in the airport.
Yes, in the airport. We made it back.
We had to swim back, unfortunately, but we made it.
We got to hang out with a lot of people that were coming back from an Alaskan cruise. That was pretty interesting. Audio's still not going to be the best. We're going to keep on running in that our friends Japan 2.0 and use our phone for a little bit because just
neither set the bar.
Neither one of us want to go into our rooms and set up our audio equipment right now because it's the end of the day. My son's done with his job. I finished both jobs, and we're just looking to sit down post Japan as my son's about to watch his dad play Baldur's Gate 3 to see if he wants to get it or not. I recommend buying this game if you're into those things. I also recommend the 3 books by Brandon Sanderson that were on Kickstarter. If you can get the audio of those or books of those, I am having a wonderful time listening to those as I'm getting back into the school year and trying to get back into some podcast recording. Right now I'm kind of sitting together pulling like audio and things from the trip. So when you listen to this, it will be after I've done all of that. What are some of your post-Japan thoughts, son?
Oh boy. It was such a fun trip, and I want to go back as soon as possible. I'm sure I feel like I've said this every time we've talked about it, but it's gave me a lot of insight on as to what I want to do with my life, because I'm 21 and I still have no effing clue. But going there and experiencing something that was totally different, like there was a lot of culture shock initially, but I adapted pretty quickly to a lot of things. I was surprised. Like I got into the swing of things pretty quickly, and I think it helps that I exposed myself, and I was exposed to it by my dad so much in my life, and nothing, like I was like, whoa, that's different, but nothing really surprised me. So I mean, there was some stuff, but like generally I was like, yeah, that's it. I almost felt more at home there than I did. I felt way more at home there than I do here. Just like my personality type, I feel like I am just more, I fit better there than I do. Like I just mind my business and I go with the flow, and that's like a lot of what everyone's about there. So
that's like you kind of have like people that will leave you be. You have some different interactions, and I think I feel a lot of the same way. I said, because when I was growing up, I moved so often that I never had like a spot that I call home. And despite living in our Chicagoland area for as long as we have, I still don't necessarily have that. But I can say for me, Hiroshima, that being in Japan, that Hiroshima area is about the closest to what I feel like that. And the people that are there are so
nice.
Like the friends that I've made from, both Matt and David, and then also Rock and our friends from Hiroshima. Mm-hmm. Everybody's just really good people.
Yeah.
They're very genuine.
Yeah.
And they're very just like upfront, no nonsense, speak their mind type of people. Mm-hmm. And when you surround yourself with great people, good people, it just makes things so much more.
Yeah. It kind of made me reevaluate the people I surround myself with, because and I realized how good I have it with a lot of people that I know,
because my best friend and a lot of my other friends, like, they don't hold back, and it's very similar to what you were saying. But yeah, like, I feel like it leads me to getting used more times than not, but I share that kind of mode of being like, you help me out, I help you out, and that's like very much how it is. Like, I don't and a lot of times I do things for people, I don't even really expect anything back. It's kind of just like, you're my friend, so I help you out. It's not like I owe you, or like, it's nothing like that. I help people out when I can, and I don't expect anything in return.
And I'd say that's like the people, like, again, like the people that we met there and we interacted with, were shown around, had a great time. They did things to help, make sure we had a good time, and none of it was done with this, like, hey, you're going to owe us,
Right.
next time we come back.
There were so many times, like, I met, it's like one of my favorite experiences when I was there. I met like a really cool group of girls at a concert, and they all walked us home. And I was like, I've been so tainted here. I was like, what do you want from me? Like, am I gonna be followed home? Do you want money? Like, but no, they just genuinely cared that I got home and was safe. Like, they knew I drank a little bit, and they walked the girl that we were with that got drunk home, and they walked me home. And it was just like a completely genuine, like, I want to make sure you're okay. Like, I want to make sure you have a good time. Like, it was just, every time it blew me away. Like, that's what surprised me. Like, I knew a certain extent, but actually, like, experiencing it was such a remarkable experience.
I know you're looking to go back. I know you were talking about a different time of year. You were
not July,
not like the beginning of August
part of the year, and then we come back here and it's 100 degrees.
We were like, but it was funny because we're here in Chicagoland and everything's like 100 degrees and whatever, and we're messaging each other back and forth, and we're like, still not as hot as it was in Japan.
Everyone's freaking out. I'm like, this ain't shit after what I've been through in Hiroshima.
Tokyo, man, when I was on that black top and I was
oh my god, I've never sweat more in my life. But it was nice though, because like, what I miss here, I came back and I was like, fuck man, where's my Lawson's or my Family Mart? Like, I could just walk a couple blocks, and if I got thirsty or I needed anything, I just stop in, get a drink, chill out for a second, and keep walking. But so great.
And then even when we were there, even on days when we weren't like super busy running around and we were just kind of hanging out for a day and taking it easy, your steps per day, like for me, were so much higher. And like here, I spend the whole day to crack like 10,000 steps. And today, to help me do that, I walked to a store just to get, the last little bit of things that I had in. But yeah, I'm definitely looking already for my next trip. I know that you are too, and just excited to hear it. And anybody that's out there that hasn't done it yet, or is looking to do it, or going through and just waiting for that chance to do it, Yep, it's like you won't regret it, even if it takes you 5 years, 6 years, or whatever it is to finally get that opportunity to do it. Once you do it, you're gonna want to definitely turn back around again. And my buddy Steve, when we got together after Japan, he wanted to hear about the trip, and he was just like, man, you really put your head down. You work during the year and then you just go back. And I'm like, I really do. I said, because that's what helps motivate me, helps keep, get me in an area that I'm happy, and one day it'll be where I am just constantly. But just wanted to touch base. Anything else lasting thoughts or things just for you now, or things you're thinking about for that? Or
I'm just so happy with the experience. I'm so happy with, like, I met so many people that I am so excited to see again when I go back. So many unforgettable experiences, and I can't wait to go back. And that's awesome stuff.
Well, thank you all. That's going to be probably the last thing that you're going to hear on this, at least, audio recording.
Hope you've enjoyed it all, and I look forward as my son sees my
New Stacy,
his dad's K-pop updated playlist. So yes, not only am I doing Baldur's Gate and a podcast, also have music too. So enjoy the rest of your day. Everyone that's listening, reach out if you have anything to say and you want it passed